May Allah make this year more auspicious for us. New year, new life. New year, new life. May Allah make this year more auspicious for us. New year, new life. New year, new life.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah.
Salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah.
Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabi Allah. Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. MashaAllah. Before we begin, we're going to give you a blessing of reciting Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam is reported to have said that the one who recites Durud Pak upon me once, just once, but there's a condition. And if it gets accepted, Allah Azza wa Jal will erase his sins of 80 years. Allahu Akbar. So I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that we all recite Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. And we should all pray for each other that whatever ibadat we do, whatever good deeds we do, they are accepted in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal. Here's my channel. What we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about love of the Quran and patience as well. You know, during the week we've been talking about the love of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We've been talking about the love of the Sahaba, love of the Ahl Bayt, and we also mentioned one night that the three things that we should teach our children are: one, love of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, love of the Ahl Bayt, and love of the Quran. And if you think about this, viewers and children, by having the love of all of these three things, then everything else is encompassed in it. Everything else within Islam is encompassed in having the love of these three things. If you love the Prophet of Allah, if you love the Ahl Bayt, if you love the Quran, then everything else will fall into place, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. With regards to the topic, Hafizab, love of the Quran. Love of the Quran, Hafizab. Very, very important topic. But I feel that it's not given its due, if you know what I mean. That people will say, okay, we understand that we need to read the Quran. We need to, okay, there might be some people out there that say, okay, I need to understand the Quran, but love of the Quran? Please explain.
You know, Hazrat Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, mashallah azza wa jal, the second Khalif of Islam, you know, his love of the Quran was that, yes, he used to read the Quran, he used to understand the Quran, he used to act upon the Quran, but, you know, some physical loving the Quran. Whenever he used to pick the Quran up, he used to kiss the Quran and place it on his head, and he would say, this is the kalam of my Rabb Azza wa Jal. You know, so this is the physical aspect of loving the Quran. Today we all say that we love the Quran. No Muslim will ever say, ma'azallah, that he doesn't love the Quran. Every Muslim do. Lekin the thing is, are we just saying that by our tongue?
But in the same way, I mean, sorry to stop you, Officer, but you see that even now, people maybe never read the Quran in 2 years, 5 years, but whenever they pick it up, they do.
You see, for example, if someone says, I love so-and-so person, but what have you done that, you know, that proves that you love that person? In the same way, we say we love the Quran, you know, we will kiss the Quran out of respect, but the proper love for the Quran is that you read the Quran. You know, we say Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu had love for the Quran, even though when he was in the tents of in Karbala, he never missed the tilawat of the Quran. You know, even to an extent that when his blessed head was on the spears, Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he read the Quran. You know, that was one of the miracles of Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So we need to look at ourselves as well. You know, again, the other day we mentioned about your relationship to Allah Azza wa Jal. What is your relationship to the Quran? Is our relationship to the Quran to an extent that we've got one at home, a few copies at home. We do open the Quran when it's needed, when we have a death in the family, or when I'm really feeling a bit low, I might just open the Quran up and read. That doesn't mean that you love the Quran. Sometimes it's like, you know, you're forced into reading the Quran, or you might be going through a bad time and you might be thinking, chalo Quran padh le. That doesn't show you the love of the Quran.
Even that, there'll be a small minority that even then will not turn to the Quran in times of difficulty. They'll turn to all sorts of other things, but they won't turn to the Quran. And I'm afraid that that's a sad reality.
You know, I was talking to an Islamic brother, and he cannot remember the last time he opened the Quran.
Ya Allah.
You know, And there was a waqia someone told me, and it's a very, an eye-opening incident that an Imam Sahib was invited to someone's house, and they had somewhere to eat. And on the way back, Imam Sahib, there was some British pound notes on the table, and there was a fan there as well. And Imam Sahib walked past it, and the person, he remembered that he put some money there. As he went towards that table, he found the money wasn't there. So who does the shak go to? Imam Sahib. He pinched the money. He goes that I stopped talking to the Imam Sahib. I stopped giving him salam. I used to go to the masjid. I never used to read namaz behind him because he stole my money. So many months have gone past by. The next Ramadan comes, and because everyone is inviting the Imam Sahib to their house, so this person, out of maybe, humiliation, he goes, well, if I don't invite him, people are going to talk to me. So what he did was, he goes to the Imam Sahib, please come to my house. So when the Imam Sahib came to his house, he goes, you must have noticed that I haven't been giving you salam, I haven't been meeting you the proper way. And he goes, yeah, I did notice that, but I thought there might be someone else. He goes, no, Imam Sahib, remember last year you came to my house, there was money on the table, and as soon as you walked out, I came after you, the money wasn't there. And Imam Sahib, he started to cry. So the person, he says that, look, if you've done it, I'll forgive you, whatever's happened has happened. Imam Sahib goes, no, I'm not crying because you caught me out. I'm crying because that money was on the table, your fan was running. Some of the notes, fell to the ground. I picked them up and I put them inside the Quran. That means that for the whole year, you have not opened the Quran and you have not read the Quran. And when they opened the Quran, all the money was there. So this is, probably someone might be watching now and thinking, it's been years that we haven't read the Quran. The very famous Madani Khaka on Madani Channel, where the father gives his daughter some money, and the daughter, she thinks, where am I going to keep this money for safekeeping? So she finds the best place in the house. She opens the Quran and puts it in there. And the father sees that, and he goes, why have you put the money in the Quran? And she says, because no one will open the Quran, my money will be safe. And sadly, this is why, we're going through all these bad times, all these problems, calamities that are falling upon us. Maybe one of the reasons is that we've left the way of the Quran.
Khalid Bhai, the reality is that we don't appreciate what this glorious and amazing book is. We don't appreciate that not only does it have all the secrets of the heavens and the earth, not only is it an answer to every single problem, not only is it a guide to keep you on the steadfast and get you to a beautiful grave and respect and honor on the day of judgment and Jannah. But let's just stand back and think, what is this book?
Allah.
It is the word of Allah Azza wa Jal, the creator of the heavens and the earth. And it was sent by Jibreel Ameen and brought to the Qalb Mubarak of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The brilliant Sahaba Ikram, the amazing Sahaba Ikram, and including Hazrat Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala, who is a Katib-e-Wahi as well, wrote this down at the time. Aka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught many huffaz, taught the tafseers of the Quran, and through generation after generation after generation, it was preserved and it got to us. Now, one of the greatest sacrifices in all those generations, Khalid Bhai, there came a time where there was a person who wanted to change the Quran. He wanted to change the teachings of the Quran. He wanted to change the interpretations of the Quran. And one person stood up against him. And today we say that we love Hazrat Imam Ali Muqam radiallahu ta'ala for his great sacrifice. But the reason he gave that great sacrifice, Hafiz Sahib, wasn't so that we could wrap this Quran up in a glove and put it in a high place.
Okay.
He gave that sacrifice so the Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would spend their days and nights reciting the Quran, gaining the blessings, gaining the barakat, and learning and getting guidance from it. And today, afsos ke saath, we have all these mahfuz. We've got the 10 days of Muharram, yeah? And nobody has even bothered to open the glorious Quran. Now you say, oh, you don't understand. I'll be honest with you, Hafiz Sahib, I don't see that as an excuse. And I'm not being harsh. But if I said to you today, I'll give you you can start a job in 6 weeks' time, £1,000 a day, but you have to learn French, for example. you would stay awake the next 6 weeks and you'd make sure that by the time week 7 came along, you were fluent in French because you're getting £1,000 a day.
Sure.
Yaar, hamari puri zindagi guzar gayi hai. Never mind learning the Arabic language. We've got Sirat al-Tafsir, Sirat al-Jinan Sharif in beautiful, simple Urdu. Simple Urdu. You know, somebody like us, Hafiz, you and I read this, yeah? We're born and bred in this country effectively, yeah? I was born in Lahore, but I came here when I was 6 months. But, you know, effectively, and we can, our Urdu isn't great, but we can read this. I remember when I went to a Madani Kafla with you many, many years ago, and you were reading it, mujhe bhi shauq pada, you know, because I thought I'm going to go take this. And it's such an amazing book, you know, and my Amiji honestly live by Sirat al-Jinan Sharif. They love it so much. Pura din, yeah, aur kuch nahi tarif karan na karan. Sirat al-Jinan Sharif is brilliant. It is amazing. The Quran is really something amazing. You know, as children, we used to look for that book with all the answers. You know, is the fairy tale thing. The Quran is the book with all the answers, all the cures, and everything, yeah? Now, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there are many, many beautiful hadith of Barakah. Akka sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, O people of the Quran. Now, Akka Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the best of creation sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is referring to his ummah and calling us, O people of the Quran. And how are we the people of the Quran if we've got more time for Facebook and Twitter than the Quran? But, O people of the Quran, do not make the Quran a taqiyya. Do not become lazy and heedless. And recite it in the day and during the night, as it should be recited. And spread it, and recite it with a beautiful voice. And do not earn a wage in return. And ponder over whatever is in it, so that you may attain success. Now, when was the last time you had, and yaqeen kariye aisa baag hai, this is such a beautiful garden that if you've never been to it, you don't know what the fruit of this garden tastes like. When you read an ayat of the glorious Quran, you think, what does that mean? And then you go and get Sirat al-Jinan Sharif off your shelf, and you read through what Mufti Sahib says, and you think, oh, right, that's the explanation. And that feeling you get, Khalid Bhai, is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, so many times we've sat down, you got the English translation, you think, what does that ayah Mubarakah mean? So you got on the shelf, yeah, you got that, you take out Sirat al-Jinan Sharif, and you see Mufti Sahib, and then Mufti Sahib does it in a very beautiful way as well. He says, Fulan Mufassir says this, Fulan Mufassir says this, and Fulan says this, and then he explains it in really easy language, so that even, you know, people like me can understand.
There might be someone, you know, that wish only if it was in English. You know, we had that 4 or 5 years ago. I wish that book was in English. We've got it in English. How many people read it now?
How many people read it now?
You know, so again, you know, sometimes it's the nafs and the shaitan. You know, again, I say to Islam brothers, if you can't read Urdu, you gotta learn Urdu. Urdu is a very easy language. It's easier than English. You know, a lot of people that come from Pakistan here, they find it difficult English. Urdu is an easy language because we already know half of Urdu, because some of the words in Punjabi are in Urdu as well anyway.
There's no excuses of some. Now, they've even put some of the, I know that Rukn Shura Abdul Habib Bhai is going through Sirat al-Jinan Sharif in Urdu, and there are groups made on WhatsApp, etc., where you can subscribe to them, and every day you will get 2 or 3 ayah Mubarakas with tarjuma and tafsir from Sirat al-Jinan Sharif delivered to your phone, and you can just listen to them. I mean, you know, talk about spoon feeding. Now, let me share with you another amazing hadith of Mubarakah. You know, there's all these different forms of worship. There's namaz, roza, zakat, hajj, zikr of Allah, all these things. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the most excellent worship of my ummah is recitation of the Holy Quran.
Subhanallah.
The most excellent worship. Now, you know, you're missing out. I mean, some people think, you know, I don't read the Quran. Yeah, it's not you. You should cry on your destiny, your kismet, because it's not you who doesn't read the Quran. It's Allah who doesn't give you the tawfiq to do. Make sincere repentance in the court.
You know, one thing you mentioned that some people say, we don't understand the Quran. You don't need to, you know, I'm not going to say you don't need to understand the Quran. Even though you don't understand the Quran, you still get this reward of reading the Quran.
There's been many instances of people that have reverted to Islam just by listening to someone reciting the Quran.
Sure.
Yeah? It has that mesmerizing effect on people, because obviously it's the word of Allah. There's many people that have come to the fold of Islam by just listening to someone reciting.
You know, Fuzail bin Ayaz rahmatullahi ta'ala, very famous wali Allah azza wa jal, he listened to the verse alam ya'ni lilladhina amanu an takhsha qulubuhum li dhikrillahi wa ma nazala min al-haqq. He listened to that. Yeah, has the time not come for the people that their hearts bow down in the zikr of Allah azza wa jal, the mafhum. Now, Fuzayl bin Iyaz rahmatullah alayhi, he listened to that. And these people, you know, we are talking about them because why? They're the ones who changed their lives, but who changed their lives? The Quran changed their lives.
You sit here with an iPad in front of you or a tablet in front of you. I sit here with a computer in front of me, these phones. Now, actually, it was the Quran that's responsible for these. And some people may think that this is a theory. It isn't a theory. You read history and you read the facts, yeah? It was the Islamic scholars who invented binary codes, algebra and everything else which made these devices possible. If you go back to the Islamic universities who initially made these sciences and brought them out, those were the people who read the glorious Quran. When the Quran said, study the skies, they went and studied the skies and developed the fields of astronomy. Then they said, study the plants, and they studied the plants. They studied the environment. Look at the 7 layers of the sky. They went back and did all of that. They built the foundation. In the early days of Islam, you had hundreds and thousands and millions of books. It was all based around knowledge. It was all based around science, algebra. I mean, some of the surgical instruments that were invented by the Muslims from reading the glorious Quran hundreds of years ago are still being used today. Why is that? What we've done is this. We think it's a theory. It isn't. When you go out and look, actually, the glorious Quran, the world was in darkness. Mm-hmm. It was the glorious Quran that gave it light. MashaAllah. This is here because of the Quran. This is here because of the Quran. You know, we are living, the electricity, things like these. All the knowledge has come from the Quran. The Quran guided. Yes, not every single discovery. Some, youngsters might be sat there thinking, not every single discovery has come from the Quran. Yes, but if somebody shows you the way, and on that way you discover things, who are you going to credit? The discoveries or the person who showed you the way?
That was a buzurg, and he was known as a malanga, someone who's majzoob, the one whose shariat is not. And every time, whenever he used to do the zikr of Allah. So someone once came to him and they gave him some fruit to eat. And he goes, because his thing was that he used to take people back to the zikr of Allah. So someone asked him, chalo, let's take fruit to him. So they took a fruit to him and they said, eat this fruit, is so beautiful. He goes, oh, so where did this fruit come from? It came from the shop. Where did they get it from? From the supermarket. Where did they get it from? From the farmer. Where did the farmer get it from? From the tree. Where did the tree get it from? Allah Ta'ala gave it. So everything he turns back to Allah. This is what this tariqah, any person from any field of knowledge, he would always say to him, and they would all go back to Allah Azza wa Jal.
When you go to these shops, gardening shops, there's one thing that mesmerizes me, You get all this display, and it says peach tree, orange tree, pear tree, and the little sachets of seeds, and they all look about the same, to the untrained eye. And there's, hundreds of different species and everything else, And if you say, I want a peach tree in my garden, they'll say, that's the sachet you need. Now you take that little seed, you put it in dirty soil, and that's it, you leave it,
Your job's done.
And your job's done, And then in a few years' time, you're eating fruits off it. I mean, isn't that amazing? And then we deny, this is why the glorious Quran says, which of the favors of your Lord will you both deny? And this is it. What we do is the shaitan puts a veil over our eyes. And the one thing that we should be living our life by, we ignore. Now, just to kind of wrap up this section, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said that, the one who gets up in the morning, it's the kind of the rationale of the hadith mubarakah. It's quite a long hadith mubarakah. But you get up in the morning and you flick the news, drink your cup of tea standing up out of the door, and you go to work. What happens? Come 12 o'clock, you got your head in your hands thinking, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And then you say, Amir al-Sunnah's famous jumla, pata nahi kaun si khata ho gayi hai ki musibatein jaan hi nahi chhodti. And what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam said is, when you do that, you leave with the flag of the shaitan. Now, the flip side of that is this, Khalid Bhai. The good person, he gets up in the morning, he goes to masjid to pray Fajr, he comes back home, he reads the glorious Quran, he wakes his children up, make sure they pray namaz, make sure they read the Quran, he sits down to have breakfast and he reads Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, he has his tea, leaves home and says Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah, he gets in his car, Subhanallazi sakhkhara lana, he reads all these du'as, so all day goes beautifully for him, right? So when on the other side, the two people meet, he thinks, this guy's got so much good luck, this guy's got so much bad luck, And what they don't realize is his
their own
good
fault.
look is coming from the glorious Quran. His good look is coming from the namaz. His good look is serving his parents in the morning. His good look is changing the environment in his home to be a Madani environment. And his bad look is missing salah. His bad look is ignoring the Quran. His bad look is disrespectful to his parents. His bad look is because he's away from the Quran and the Sunnah and the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal.
Allah Akbar. Viewers of Madani Channel, you're watching New Year, New Life. Before we go to the break of the day, I'm just going to read out a hadith to you. It's narrated in Tirmidhi Sharif, hadith 2915, that Sayyidina Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu has narrated that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, soon a conflict will arise. I humbly asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what would be the way to stay safe from it? And the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, the book of Allah, which contains the news of your future and past generations, and the decisions of your mutual dealings. Quran is a decision making, and it is not a joke. The cruel person who leaves it, Allah will destroy him. And the one who seeks guidance apart from it, Allah Azza wa Jal will misguide him. It is the strong robe of Allah and His wise remembrance. It is the straight path. Quran is the book by virtue of which blessings, desires do not get spoiled. Other languages together cannot make it doubtful, from which Islamic scholars are not negligent, which do not get old if recited again and again, whose wonders do not come to an end. Quran is the book that when jinns heard, they could not help saying, that we have heard the strange Quran which guides toward goodness, so we have placed our faith in it. The one who accepts the Quran is truthful, and the one who acts upon it will get the reward. The one who makes decisions in accordance with it, it will be the one who does justice, and the one who calls towards it so definitely, he calls towards the straight path.
Allah.
Viewers of the channel, you're watching New Year, New Life, and today we're talking about the Blessed Quran. But we've now got a little package for you, inshallah, a kalam of the day. Let's go to the kalam of the day, and then inshallah we'll come back. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
ایک مظلوم کو اپنے مغموم کو آفتوں سے چھڑایا شہ کربلا 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 یا شہید کربلا 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 یا شہید کربلا یا شہید کربلا فریاد ہے نور چشم فاطمہ فریاد ہے فریاد ہے یا شہید کربلا فریاد ہے نور چشم فاطمہ فریاد ہے کربلا کربلا یا شہید کربلا 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 یا شہید کربلا حسبت مصطفیٰ فریاد ہے حسبت مصطفیٰ فریاد ہے حسبت مصطفیٰ فریاد ہے حسبت مصطفیٰ فریاد ہے ہائے ابن مرتضیٰ فریاد ہے ہائے ابن مرتضیٰ فریاد ہے یا شہید کربلا یا شہید کربلا 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 یا شہید کربلا اس علی اکبر کا صدقہ جو کہ ہے 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 ہم شبیہ مصطفیٰ فریاد ہے ہم شبیہ مصطفیٰ فریاد ہے فریاد ہے کربلا کربلا یا شہید کربلا 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 یا شہید کربلا ہے میری حاجت میں طیبہ हाजत में तैबा में मरूं, ऐ मेरे हाजत रवा फरियाद है, ऐ मेरे हाजत रवा फरियाद है, फरियाद है। या शहीद करबला, या शहीद करबला, करबला करबला, या शहीद करबला। हाल है बेहाल शाहे करबला, हाल है बेहाल शाहे करबला, हाल है बेहाल शाहे करबला, हाल है बेहाल शाहे करबला। आपके अत्तार का फरियाद है, आपके अत्तार का फरियाद है, फरियाद है। करबला करबला, या शहीद करबला, करबला करबला, या शहीद करबला, या शहीद करबला, या शहीद करबला।
Sallu alal Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Viewers of Madani Channel, you're watching New Year, New Life, and today we're talking about the love of the Quran. We say that we want our children to love the Quran. We say that we want our children to read the namaz. We say that we want our children to fast during the month of Ramadan. We say we want our children that they want them to be followers of the Quran and Sunnah. But saying is not enough. Unless we give them the tarbiyat and bring them up in that environment and encourage them to do these things, then it's not. Nobody's got a magic wand that they can wand on the children and say, from now on this child will read the Quran. From now on this child will read the namaz.
I went to someone's house a while ago, and his son was there playing a video game. So we walked in and I said, Assalamu alaikum. And he was there. I looked back and he started playing video games. So the father goes on and he clobbers him one, and he goes, stand up, Hafiz Sahib, give him salam. I goes, look, why are you forcing him to do that? If you had taught him, he would have done that already. Tiga Hafiz Sahib, I've come after so many years. You come in and out every day of the house. He should be doing that, giving you that respect. Why is he not giving you respect? It's because you've never paid attention to that. He was playing a video game with someone in Holland, online video game. What happens? And the thing is that tarbiyat wasn't there. Now there's no point swearing or hitting your own child, because it's your fault end of the day. You are the one who was supposed to give him that tarbiyat. If you go home and your sons don't give you salam or they don't stand in respect for you, you should tell them, don't you, that look, Putter, whenever I come home, you should give salam, you should stand up for your parents. Have a little study circle, like you mentioned, Harun Bhai. Alhamdulillah, I've been to your house, mashallah, and the mahol is there. In the same way, if you don't build that mahol up, you can't expect that to happen.
But then what happens is, they bring him to the Ijtima or they bring him to the madrasa, and in front of them say, have a word with him, sort him out. It's sunnah that needs, it doesn't listen to anybody. And that is the worst thing that they can do.
But Hafsab, you say the mahal is there and you see, I couldn't do that. It's not me. This is the beauty of Amir al-Sunnat and Dawat Islami. If you said, honestly, hand on heart, sat here today, none of that is anything to do with me. We try, but a lot of people try. But because they don't have the support and the methods, the tried and tested methods of Dawat Islami, it's very difficult to create that Islamic atmosphere at home. But when you've got the environment of Dawat Islami to support you, so when Bachuki Amir is going to the Sisters Ijtima, she's doing bayans, I'm doing bayans, we've got Madani Channel on at home, the children know, with their sandwich of Fazani Medina, they're doing the Quran, everything else. It creates a whole atmosphere in the house. And this is what you've got to do. If you want your children to be naked, but just for it to, wake up one day and say, Abaji, it's not going to happen, is it?
When we were younger, we never used to miss our Jummah namaz and our 5 times namaz as well. And alhamdulillah, that's what made us namazi today, because I knew that if I go home, if I don't see my dad chapra, so Jummah koni nahi padya, we'll be scared, dad's going to find out. And then, we used to bump into our uncle, oh no, he's going to find out. So, chalo julo namaz hai. So that fear of our parents, alhamdulillah, it's not that they would have hit us or something, but that fear was there. And I call it respect, that how am I going to lie in front of them? So alhamdulillah.
So many times, Afsab, you see the people that they will say that, at that young age, they'll have this fear. Yeah, maybe even have this fear that they're going to get hit by them, fear that they're going to get punished by them, or whatever it is. Put it in whichever category you wish. But ask that same person 10 years later, 15 years later, when they're namazi and they're reading the namaz 5 times a day, and they say, shukr. I'm glad that my father was harsh with me. I'm glad that my uncles was harsh with me. I'm glad that they made me read my namaz, because if they didn't do it, then I would be here. So it's getting the right balance with your children, Harun, by that. Yes, you know, if you just say to your children, read the namaz, it's not enough. You know, there's got to be a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of reward, a little bit of fear as well. It's getting the right balance of all of these things.
What we do is we take our love for our children, and it's a misguided love. This is very important to understand, Hafsab, that we love our children, but there's 2 types of love. One is, I love my child, I'll give him loads of money to spend, I'll buy him a flash car, I'll let him go to the pictures, I'll let him do this, I'll give him loads of money. Yashikar, yaar, I love you. Or, I love my child, so inshallah I'm going to make him a Hafiz al-Quran, I'm going to teach him the deen of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I'm going to make him protect his salah. Now the other thing is this, while we're talking about children, you know, our love for our children actually puts a veil in front of our eyes, and it takes us away from acting upon deen. You know, the Quran says, your children are a fitna. Now, what happens is, there are 2 elements here that are very important to understand. One is that, you know, your child's ill. You will forget about namaz. Say, you know, Allah Ta'ala protect our children. The child's in hospital or something. Namaz nahi ush nahi rehni bandiyan. They think, oh, you know, we'll do it after my child's really ill and everything else. Just that little bit of taklif for the child. Say your child demands something, Hafsab, and you can't afford it, yeah? And there's a bit of a tension in the house. You can't sleep at night, yeah? It comes between you and the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, and a lot of times we concede. This is where it's very important to look at the plains of Karbala. Because Hazrat Imam Ali Muqam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu had his children with him. This is the hot baking desert. There's no water, there's no food. And yet, what did they see their father doing? Reading the Quran and praying namaz. And saying, you know, doing sabr, being patient in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. And these children, and then, you know, if our child is not well, forget namaz, our iman becomes dangerous. You know, Nauzubillah min zalik, a lot of foolish people that say, why is Allah Azza wa Jal, Nauzubillah min zalik, torturing me like this and everything else? Halanki, it's a test from Allah Azza wa Jal, and you shouldn't say these words because they can take you out of the fold of Islam. But look at the amazing status of Hazrat Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that on the plains of Karbala, his children are being martyred, and he is turning to Allah Azza wa Jal in zikr. He is turning to the Quran, he is turning to Salah, and he is turning to the Riza of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now that level of patience and perseverance and steadfastness is so amazing. You know, even the world has never seen it.
Even his tarbiyat doesn't stop in Karbala. Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu, every night, you know, he was there for 3-4 nights. Every night he would give a lecture, a bayan to his own family, Allah. You know, about sabr, about reading the Quran. So they're in this environment where, you know, there's danger out there. There's 22,000 people waiting to kill them. But Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu is not in the tents crying or worried about. He's worried about just one thing: what's going to happen to my family after me. I don't want them to move away from the deen.
What happens today, Hafsab, is if my son's asleep and it's Fajr time, and I think Fajr is at 4 o'clock, yaar, 12 baje sutta, film tak kita, 1 baje sutta. I'm going to get him up at 4 o'clock, chodo rendius, yeah? Then that son will put me to disgrace, and I will be disgraced in the eyes of Allah and His beloved Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But if I look at the great sacrifice of Hazrat Imam Ali Muqam radiyallahu ta'ala, not only is he sacrificing his children for the Riza of Allah Azza wa Jal, for the haqq, for the truth, but at the same time, doing that is an amazing act.
Yes,
but at the same time, being patient. It's very easy to say, you know, you've got children, Halva's got a beautiful daughter, I've got daughters, I've got children, yeah. You know, but you know, especially daughters, Zarek Taklif, you know, totally, you know, they're ill. Yeah, you start to lose your mind. And this is look at the sabr of Imam Ali Muqam radiyallahu ta'ala.
Allahu Akbar.
You know, when you put it into proper context, say, you know, my son's or my daughter is ill, you think, right, yes, I'll take him to the emergency doctor, shall I take him to the Royal Infirmary, what shall I do? And if our child says, you know, Indi rati, you know, bhukh lagi hui, What does the mother do? She runs straight down the stairs, straight to the fridge. She takes out whatever she can find. Beta, you have this, have this, have this. And you say, oh, didn't you feed it? Why didn't you feed him? You know, and look at Hazrat Imam Ali Muqam. You know, he preserved everything for us. He gave his life, giving the life of your son, and then carrying him back and burying him, and then getting ready to martyr for your next son to be martyred, and carrying him and taking a 6-month-old Ali Asghar.
Allah.
Yeah? And then, you know, watching an arrow pierce his neck and bringing him back and saying that, you know, I've given him to Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? What did Imam Ali Muqam say? For the sake of the ummah of my Nana Jan. Those were the words on his lips. And today, if this ummah of beloved Nana Jan is too busy with their social media, too busy with their TVs, and haven't got time for this glorious Quran, then it's a shame for us.
You know, we've given everything. You know, so sometimes when your children ask you for something, sometimes people say, I don't like to say no to them. And we don't even understand that whatever we're giving them. Now, first thing, if you're giving them a mobile phone, yeah, you've got Wi-Fi at home. You're not at home, but what are they going to do behind you? If you did not bring them that tarbiyat, you know, there was an Islamic brother, his father came up to me once and he goes, I want you to talk to my son, you know, and I goes, why, what's happened? He goes, look at this. He showed me a bill, £500.
Allah.
He goes, he's been chatting on all these premium numbers and all that, and this £500 bill just in 1 month is problem. Why, you know? And I said to him, look, the thing is, how did you bring him up? The tarbiyat, what was the tarbiyat? Did you give him a mobile phone? Here, putter, the Quran, download it, read the Quran. Tika, if you need to contact us, that's different. But the thing is, that tarbiyat, we need to look at ourselves. Your son is riding a bike all day, he doesn't read his namaz, you haven't said anything to him. Your son has been to the madrasa, as soon as he comes back, throws his topi on the floor and he's up and he's playing his video game, you haven't said a word to him. Yeah. That's where the things are going wrong.
See, I've said we worry about the wrong things. We worry about the wrong things because, you know, we worry about the little trivial, petty stuff. And the things we should be worrying about is, what is the tarbiyat of my child? Yeah? I had one relative and he was upset. And I said, you know, why are you upset? And he said, yeah, my daughters are getting to that age now, 13, 14, 15. They're saying they need the internet. I have no internet in the house, but I need internet, and then we need computers to do our homework and everything else. And I don't want to put this internet in their bedrooms because then I don't have any control. And so I'm not sure what to do. So we discussed it for a bit, and what he decided, we decided between us. I said, we've got an idea. He put the computer in the living room, faced it out towards the living room and said, Beta, you want to do your homework? There you go.
Allah.
And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, in one of the mosque competitions, one of his daughters, who I think is doing an Alma course, she came top. And I walked into his house some time ago and I saw a trophy there. That's a really, it was in Nalene Park and a beautiful trophy. And I said, what's that? Because my daughter's got a prize in her, that year of the Alma, she came top, yeah? And it just made me think back to the worry the father had at the right time. If he had given them a computer or each a tablet in their bedroom with Wi-Fi, maybe that Nalene Park for the prize of the second or third year Alma.
My son's a 17-year-old now.
MashaAllah.
And he's left his school and he's working now, well, so-called working. But I still, you know, was thinking so many times, should I give him a mobile phone or not? You know, to be honest with you, Harun bhai, sleepless nights sometimes, you know, what is he going to do with that phone? But then you know, too big leader. And then when you think of other people, 10-year-olds got mobile phones, and you think to yourself, I don't want him to be thinking, okay, my dad's a bit stingy and all that kind of stuff. So I've got him a mobile phone. Still worried, you know, what's going to happen.
Also, you say sleepless nights, and it reminded me of something I was listening to earlier today. But you know, on the plains of Karbala, every night when Imam Ali Muqam radiallahu ta'ala came back to the khema, having, you know, buried somebody being martyred, and then when they finished the namaz and the recitation of the Quran and the zikr, so many people being martyred. And yet, you know, we have our worries. But can you imagine the worry of that father who's just buried a Juwan child and given that sacrifice? He sacrificed his children so that we could teach our children the true deen of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you know, if we fail to do that, we are actually failing Hazrat Imam Ali Muqam radiallahu ta'ala.
Sayyidah Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha, she was taken as captive to Kufa. That was the same Kufa where Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu was the Khalifa. His headquarters was in Kufa. Sayyidah Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha, when she was with her father, she was the princess of Kufa. And now she's a captive, she's got chains around. And someone asked, what's happened? She goes, even at that time when I was a princess, it was only for the sake of Allah. And now I've come here as a captive, it's for the sake of Allah. We need to think to we all love our daughters. Did Imam Hussein not love his daughters and his sister as well? We always pray that, we have this love between brothers and sisters, and Sada Qiyamat al-Badr hai. But as Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he knew all this, but still he went forward just for the sake of Islam.
But what did Hazrat Imam Ali Maqam radiallahu ta'ala say? For all our sisters and mothers and daughters listening out there, the lesson to learn, Hafiz Sahib, is this. That Hazrat Imam Ali Maqam, when he went to fight, what he said was, I'm going to be martyred. But I don't want any of you screaming and shouting. I don't want you to take the battas off you, the veils off. I want you to show patience, and this is what they taught. And today, how dare, if I'm earning, how dare my daughter or my bachuki or my sister wear clothes that are against the Shariat and against the teachings of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, against the seerahs of Hazrat Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala, against the teachings of Hazrat Zainab radiallahu. These hastis should be the role models of my daughter and my family, not what we see in the modern day era.
I've got a few questions for the panel because we're coming towards the end of the program. But before that, mashallah, Rumba has got some motherly pearls with regards to love of the Quran that he was just to give.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. We want to develop a habit ourselves of reading the Quran every day. And foolish is the one who thinks he's going to be successful without the Quran. And so every morning, even if it's just 3 ayats, in the beautiful Madani Namat card, what the Madani Namat card is, it's like a checklist of things. Because the shaitan deceives us thinking, you're really good, but put yourself to the test. Download the Madani Namat card. It's an app. It's a beautiful app and it's been very well reformed and it's really, really good. And you can tick off what you did each day. Number 3 on that. Today, did you give invitation to offer salah in your home, market, or wherever you were during the times of salah before offering salah yourself? If only we could take someone with us to the masjid in all 5 salahs. And that's one of the Madani Namats every day. Now, when you read that, if you fill in your Madani Namat card at night, you think, if you do it in the morning, you think, right, I'm going to try and make an effort. So when you're with your brother or somebody else, you say, come on, let's go to the masjid, read namaz, and you get the sawab for that, and an extra person has attended the mosque. Then there's number 21 that I just wanted to read as well. I
think it was 21 on the old one. Check if it is the same one on the new one.
Sadai Medina.
No, about 3 ayats of the Quran daily.
Oh, the 3 ayats of the Quran daily, yeah. On the... I'll deal with 21 as well, because 21 is beautiful as well, because it's related to the same topic, which is Sadai Medina. When you get up in the morning for the salah, what you can do is send a few messages, ring a few people. If you've got mates, and maybe they struggle, give them a quick ring. Usually you ring them in the middle of the night to speak to them about things. Give them a quick ring saying namaz badi, and they'll appreciate it as well. So that's Sadai Medina in Dawat Islami terms. And then the last one is Amir al-Sunnah gives it us in bite size, which is that to at least read 3 ayah mubarakas with translation and commentary a day. And if you do it properly, maybe it'll take 10 or 12 minutes, but those 10 or 12 minutes a day will change your life without doubt.
Allah Akbar. Viewers on the channel, you're watching New Year, New Life, and I'm very conscious that we're coming towards the end of the program. We've only got about 5 minutes left, and I really want to ask one question, because 10 days we've talked about so many different topics. I remember the very, very first day that we talked about Sayyidina Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu. We talked about Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu. We talked about the sacrifices that were made, the love of the Rasul, the love of the Quran, the love of the Ahl Bayt, and all these things that we need to know. But now, as these 10 days come to an end, now what? What should we be doing now? If we have been watching this program, and I'm hoping that we've learned something from this program, where do we go from here, officer?
I think what we need to do is, instead of just fooling ourselves and instead of just going around in circles, I think it's about time that, if I look at myself, I'm 44-year-old. So, every day that passes by, we're getting closer and closer to our death. Now it's about time that we wake up and we understand and we realize that what is happening. If we don't change ourselves, our children who are watching us, they will not change themselves.
Ji Harun bhai, very important question.
Miss your salah, abandon the Quran, disrespect your parents, lie, backbite, and then end up with Yazid, wherever he is, because that's exactly what he did. But if you protect your namaz, if you read your Quran, if you serve your parents, if you go after the truth, and you spend your life in the obedience of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then your grave will be a garden of paradise. On the day of judgment, you will stand proud under the flag of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Your actions, the answer to your question is your actions determine what you do. Now, if you think, Khalabay, my message on all the 10 programs is this: if you think you're going to carry on by missing Salah, ignoring the Quran, ignoring your parents, and lying and backbiting and this drugs and all this, yeah, and then you think you're going to Jannah, don't deceive yourself. And if you really want to do that, now is the time. For the sake of us at the Imam Alim Khan, make a change.
You know, if you are going to make change, and we should be making a change, make the change today. Don't wait for Jummah. Don't wait for Ramadan. Make a change for today. Shaitan is going to entice you and say, no, you can do it later. Shaitan is going to say to you, forget Isha tonight, start at Fajr tomorrow. Shaitan is going to say next Friday, next week, next month. Make a change, make today. Ji Afisab dua.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Allahumma Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. Allahumma innaka afuwun kareem tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Ya Ghafuru ya Rabbana ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, accept our efforts for running this program. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, whatever we have learnt and taught, give us all the ability to act upon that and to pass this message on to others as well. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, all those who participated in this program, Ya Allah, shower your blessings and your mercy upon all of them. For the sake of Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu and the martyrs of Karbala, Ya Allah, make us all understand and read the Quran. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, give us a life in Islam, such a life that we follow the beautiful Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, make us all obedient in your court, obedient in the court of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and obedient to our parents as well. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, for the sake of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Allah, guide us on the straight path. Ameen bijahi Nabiyil Ameen sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Viewers of Madani Channel, thank you for watching this program, inshaAllah, and keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
May Allah make this year more auspicious for us. New year, new life. New year, new life. May Allah make this year more auspicious for us. New year.